Hello, hello. Welcome to Sparkle.Sanctuary. Thank you for joining me today. My name's Rebecca. Today is a how-to video on changing out your diamond painting from being double-sided adhesive to poured glue. Now, poured glue is a typical kind of thing you'll find on a lot of canvases. This is just a make market canvas. When I pull back the plastic sheet, I can see there's obviously some glue stuff here, right? But when I look at the edges don't come up. It's kind of hard to see and kind of hard to explain, and it helps if I stay in frame. But you can kind of see there's a little bit of the glue that kind of comes over the edge of that. No matter what I do, that's not going to peel up, okay? That is because this is poured glue. A majority of canvases anymore come in poured glue. With these, you can mend them every way you want to. And typically, it doesn't have a negative impact on your canvas. And it makes them a little bit more malleable and more flexible, and you don't have to care for them quite as much. Now, when diamond paintings first came around, all you could find them in was double-sided adhesive. And I ordered this as a custom canvas. I actually created this image myself for another video I did regarding the use of AI. And I thought I would really like to see how this canvas works up because I purchased it from Temu. It was super cheap. And but I thought it would be neat to use it as a canvas to explain about double-sided adhesive and the problems with it and how you can fix it yourself. Okay, so let me get this pulled up for you. Now, if I put this right here and I peel back this plastic, now this is a very dirty canvas. I mean, this was really super cheap and came from Temu. So I didn't have high expectations, but I would like to see how this works out. But if I pull back this, you can see there's a definite edge to where this canvas glue ends. And that's because that's not actually glue. That is like a roll of tape that's double-sided. So if I come in here, and there's a few things that you can know to identify that that's double-sided. This actually was in 2 pieces of plastic covering, and then also, like I said, that edge. But here's the big thing. When I pull back this plastic, I can actually grab the edge of that glue. This is very sticky, but I can still grab the edge of that glue and I can actually peel it off the canvas. Okay, so a couple things to keep in mind here. If you don't want to do this whole process, you can still salvage your double-sided adhesive. The problem is a lot of times they get what we call rivers or bubbles in them. It just makes them it makes them not as stable. Like this one has a bubble right here where the glue is just like bubbled, like extra glue. Let me see if I can pull that in. It's like there's like a glue dot underneath that. It's very, very weird. Also, let me see if I can find one. This doesn't look very bad considering how much I have. Let me just peel this whole thing off. This doesn't look terrible considering how much I've moved it around, but it's very, very sticky. Like here, I'm not sure if it'll show up, but there's what we call a river where the glue just isn't sticking to the canvas anymore. You can take a small knife, like I have an X-Acto knife or something, very lightly scrape it across that and kind of cut it to kind of make those push back down, put the plastic back over it, and then push it all really far down. But I just find that that's such a pain, and you never know where more rivers are going to pop up. I also have this issue where there is a section of the canvas here. Pull that away. Sorry for all the crinkle. There's a section of the canvas here where the glue isn't sticking to the canvas at all. I don't know if you can see where that whole thing down there. So for me, this is just going to be an easier process to go through and remove all of the adhesive and put new adhesive down. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So a couple things to keep in mind. You have to have a lot of patience with this. You have to go slowly. Canvases like this are very prone to warping or to stretching. Okay. That's, when we're looking at canvases and we're painting, they actually stretch over wood. And so they can stretch and become malformed. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to work very slow in small, short bursts. If you start to get frustrated or you feel like this is taking you longer and you are having a hard time with it, I suggest taking breaks. I don't suggest doing all of this in one felt swoop. I don't suggest doing this when you're short on time or you're, have had a bad day. This is something that you just kind of want to very slowly go through, manipulate, and just kind of peel the edge of that glue up. So I'm going to pull you in a little bit closer. You can see what I'm doing. And you can see that glue is just kind of pulling up from the edge of the canvas. And you just kind of keep going in that same motion. So basically, you're going to keep going and just pull all of the stick up. And now, in this whole section that I've done, it's not sticky at all, okay? So I'm actually going to peel off some of this, but and as I go, sometimes sections will come up a little bit easier than others. Again, just be patient with it. It is depending on how long you've had your canvas, depending on how long the glue has been on there. Sometimes that double-sided adhesive will really decide to stick. It's also possible that if you're not careful, you can pull up the, because I mean, the image is just printed onto the canvas, okay? So you can actually pull up the printing and you can lose symbols. So like I said, the big key to this is making sure that you are taking your time, that you are patient with it, and that you don't go too fast or pull too hard or get too aggressive. Now that kind of thing can happen, and that's okay too. That just the double-sided adhesive ripped. So this is just an example. You just kind of go very slowly and pull that double-sided adhesive off. Okay. So I have a little ball of double-sided adhesive here, and I'm going to see if you can tell the line. Yeah, so there's the line where there's double-sided adhesive and where there's not. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this off of the entire canvas, and I will come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I am back. I didn't fully get this sticky stuff removed because I had a couple things that I wanted to show you. So as you're pulling these up, like if it folds over and sticks like this is here, it's harder to get up off of the canvas, okay? So try and make sure that when you pull it up that you don't let it overlap like that, because then it gets too thick and it's too hard to pull up. The other thing that I discovered while I was working on this one was the sticky removes sticky adhesive theory that I've had for many years in my life. But basically, if you have something that has an adhesive backing that ends up being left over as a residue, you can often pull that off with tape. So I tried that theory with this, and I will tell you, I have good and bad news. The good news is it works. The bad news is that it does lead a little bit more to error, just because as you are pulling up the tape, as you're pulling up this tape, what ends up happening is that it pulls really fast all at once. And so sometimes it ends up causing there to be I don't know how to explain it other than just a removal of the paint. So like right here, that's a pretty bad one. And I made this, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, and it's not going to matter to me. But if you have a really important canvas and you're afraid of something like that happening, then I don't recommend trying this tape method like what I'm showing you right now. But basically what I've done is put tape down on top of the stick that's still remaining here. And I'm just kind of slowly going through with it like I was without the tape, but the tape is just making this process a little bit faster and a little bit easier. But like I said, it's so much faster that it can, like if you pull too hard, it'll skip and suddenly remove it really fast. And if that happens, that's when the actual, like the ink will pull up instead of just the stick. So just kind of keep that in mind, kind of work slowly, work across it, and, just keep working until all of that glue, the tape adhesive is kind of pulled up. So see, this is actually like it's pulling beyond the reference line for the actual tape. So it's pretty good. It's kind of hard sometimes to get a hold of it, to get a good grip on it. You just, like I said, you have to keep moving slowly, be patient. See, I'm causing some pulling here, but I'm not too aggressive with it. And then eventually this will get so thin that this will also rip like that. So I can pull this off, just go slow. Oh, and it ended up sticking to this part. So I can either pull that off or I can leave it. I think I'm going to try and pull it off and see if it actually pulls up another layer. It did not. So it just left that other layer of glue there. So anyway, I'm just going to keep doing this. I will kind of put it on fast speed so you can see me do this. And I will finish up getting the glue off of this canvas. Okay, so now I can go back and I can find little areas where there might be just a little bit of residue left. And I can just put the tape down and kind of pull it up again just to like get last little bits of residue. Again, be careful with this process because it can pull up, you know, it can pull up the ink or it can stretch your canvas. I will say, if your canvas does get stretched, you can potentially salvage it, but it is yet again something that's kind of risky to do. You can steam your canvas and hope that it shrinks a little bit, or you can even use an iron on a very low setting between two pieces of towel, as long as there's no residue left on your canvas, if that makes sense. So now that that is cleared up and this is no longer sticky, okay, I'm going to tape the edges. So really quick, one thing about taping the edges, I know something I see people complain about is that inevitably there's always like some bit of glue over the edge outside of the line of the canvas. I'm going to say that for me, I have learned that it is actually better if that little leftover is there, because as you're working on your canvas, as you put the glue down onto your canvas, it is going to, it kind of like when you put it up against the tape, it's going to pool. And we want the last diamonds around the edge of the canvas to actually adhere to the canvas the way it's supposed to. So I know it seems counterintuitive, but you do actually want some of that glue to go over the edge of your canvas. I know like most people, like I said, don't want to. And the first time I ever did this, I was like, I don't want that. So I absolutely refused to have it go over the edge. And I put the adhesive right, like put the tape up to the edge of my canvas and didn't allow any wiggle room and ended up regretting it later. So just also thoughts from my experience. Now, so what I'm doing is I'm putting a double layer of tape on the edge of my canvas. It is stuck here. Probably would have been better to leave it sticky depending on where I'm going, but I'm not going to put paint on it here to leave to dry, so I don't want to have to rip that up later. If you are working in your place that you're planning to leave it to dry, absolutely feel free to leave that tape there. It'll keep your canvas from moving around while you're working on it, and that can be very, very helpful. So I'm going to finish up this, putting tape around the edge of my canvas. I have one more side to do. Okay, while I finish up this last little bit, also, I would like to say that while I don't think masking tape is my go-to, I don't know that that's the one that I recommend doing. I recommend painter's tape, actually. I just don't have any on hand, and I feel like, honestly, at the end of the day, tape is tape, it's going to work. You're just trying to create a barrier edge for the glue to go to so that it doesn't end up all over the side edges of your canvas. You know, you're just trying to create an edge so that there's an end to where the glue is going to reside. So it doesn't need to be perfect and it doesn't need to be, you know, too spectacular. It just needs to be there. So I have now taped all the edges of this canvas. I will say there are multiple different kinds of glue to be able to do this. I know there, like somebody had mentioned that there is a glue that is, I don't know, Diamond Dotz maybe has. And then also what I ended up picking up was Aileen's Tack-It Over and Over. I think I got this at Michael's on sale for a couple bucks. It's pretty cheap. And then I got this one from Diamond Art Club, also on sale. I had points and just used some of my points to be able to do this because I wanted to try it out. I have not tried out either one of these products for this process, which is why I went ahead and got these two. The ones that I have done in the past, I did with something called pressure sensitive adhesive. It's releasable pressure sensitive adhesive. I will put a picture in here, kind of show what that looks like. At the time that I did it, they had it in quart sizes. I have not been able to find a quart size near me, so I didn't do that. I ended up opting for these two so I could do one on each side and kind of show you what that is like. So what I'm going to do is put Diamond Art Club diamond painting adhesive on one side and Aileen's Tack-It Over and Over again on the other side. And we will just kind of see which one dries better, which one is easier to manage. Also, I have these sponge tipped applicators. You can always use a paintbrush if you want to. That's why I brought this out. I have this paintbrush. It's pretty soft. I do worry about it leaving streaks though, so I'm not planning to use this. Also, I know that like Mod Podge has a brush that has soft bristles at the end. I've used that before when I've sealed a couple diamond paintings in my past, and I found that one to lose the bristles. And not only that, like something like this has to be washed. So I'm just going to go with these ones so that I can just throw them away when I'm finished. Keep in mind that you'll need at least two, even if you're only doing one brand, because I'm going to have to do 2 layers of this. And so I'm going to do a layer, let it dry for 30 minutes, and then come back and do another layer. So I will probably need a whole new sponge for that. So that's something to keep in mind. I have not, like I said, I have not used either one of these products before. So this is going to be a brand new process for me. And we are just going to learn together. It looks like this needs to be cut off at the end. And I did not bring scissors, so we are just going to wing it. I'm going to need a pretty significant amount anyway. So it looks to be really, really thick. Okay, so just kind of glop some of this around here. Oh, that was a lot. And that is okay, because we're probably going to need it. Probably going to need more, actually. So basically, you'll want to kind of put a fairly thin layer of this. Make sure you go up to the edges and get that up and really good and up to the edge on all the sides, right? Put a fairly thin layer, enough that you can see it, but not so much that you can't even it out a little bit. So I'm going to come through here and then I'm going to go back and see. As I go back over it, it kind of evens out. And then I'll go the other way too, just to get a nice good coating on it. This looks like it's actually going to dry fairly quickly, so that's pretty good. There does seem to be a line here in my canvas that I didn't notice before, but again, because this is glue and not double-sided adhesive, as that dries, it will not be an issue, and I'll still be able to have the diamonds glue. Like the diamonds will still stick to the canvas, and honestly, it may help the canvas stay flat, because diamonds, they weigh a little bit, and so that will put some pressure on it. So we'll just kind of put a delineation here of where I'm going to use this stuff. And so this is it. I'm just going to go back and forth and kind of use this over my canvas for the entirety of the canvas and get a decent layer on here. And then I will come back for the next one. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I got a nice even layer of this brand over here of the Aileen's Tack-It Over and Over. So we will go ahead and open up the Diamond Art Club one and put that one on this side and see if we can't get a nice even layer of this one. I'm only probably going to do, oh, this one has a seal on it. I'm probably only going to do, oh no, it doesn't, maybe not. To do 2 layers of glue. This one is definitely thinner. As you can see, it's coming out of the bottle way faster, way easier. I'm probably only going to do 2 layers of glue, but I will tell you that from experience, if you want that nice, thick, cushy, glue when you go to place your diamonds down, I recommend doing either thicker layers and waiting in between dry time, which is, it makes it, thicker layers makes it hard to get it even. But I recommend either doing thicker layers or giving yourself a little bit of time and doing a 3rd, maybe even 4th coat of the glue. This is just going to be, I'm going to try and make these as even as possible in thickness so that I can kind of get a really good idea of what this is like. And see, and if you watched, I will like really kind of push this up right into the edge and make sure that that glue goes all the way up to the edge, because I want this to be, you know, have an even coating of glue every single direction that I'm working. I don't want there to be any places where there isn't glue, where it's not thick enough, if that makes sense. So we're just going to keep going through, and I will do the same thing to this side that I did to that side, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Something I learned, what you saw me put on this side of the canvas was all I used for this entire side. The stuff that I used on this side, I ended up having to use another glob on that end. Now, I'm not sure if it's because of the thickness of it, or if it's because of the consistency, or if it's because of the type of glue or what it is. I had a harder time getting the actual coverage to be even on this side. And I believe this side is slightly thinner just because I had to keep stretching it further and further in order to try and get it to be a little bit more of an even coverage. So that's something to keep in mind. It doesn't look like I'll need as much of this per passing, but I may need more layers of this just because I had to do it really, really thin. All right, so I'm going to let this layer dry, and then I will put on a second layer. And then if anything comes from that and I have any concerns or questions, I will definitely let you all know. But otherwise, I will show you what this looks like once the glue is dry. All right, so a couple things I've learned from this process with these 2 new things. There is definitely some kind of stopper in here. I think it was supposed to be like a cover that was supposed to go on top of this, but when I unscrew mine, it doesn't stay stuck to the container. It actually comes up into the lid. So that would probably need tweezers or something to get that out of there. I'm not interested in doing that. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And I used it how it was, and it ended up being fine. It does come with like a spatula type thing. I'm not terribly interested in using that spatula because the sponge brush that I used worked really well for me. Something else, the Tack-It Over and Over is, because it's slightly thicker, it's taking a little bit longer to dry. But because this one is thinner, this side, the first time it dried down very, very fast. And so when I went back and I was working with it, I did a couple of trials, and it turns out that the consistency and the evenness of this really somewhat is based on the amount of product that you end up with on your sponge. So I have a couple places here that I can see that I didn't quite get evened out. But like I made sure to use a smaller amount and then use the brush, and didn't quite have so much on here, and it was able to spread out more thinly. So that is something to keep in mind if you decide that you want to work on the Diamond Art Club one. It's going to be more streaky and less even the more you have in a small area. So make sure your layers are super thin. Don't overload your brush or paintbrush, whatever it is that you're using, to keep from making that an issue. So my other thing is, at this point, I personally like to go ahead and take the tape off. It's kind of like when I do any kind of painting in my house, whenever I've let the paint completely dry down, when I pull the tape off, the inevitably some part of the paint ends up getting messed up. And so I like to go ahead and once this is all got the amount of glue, and I only want to do 2 layers on this. Once it has the amount of glue on it that I want, I go ahead and come in and remove the tape, the excess tape around the edge. It does allow for that edge to stay nice and clean still, as long as I allow it to dry somewhat down. But then it also allows me to pull all of this off without having to worry about the tape sticking to the edge or anything like that. Just be careful because you don't want to accidentally stick your tape into your glue, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's it. I will come around here. I will take off the excess tape and then just lay it out to dry and let it dry overnight. And then the next day, what I will do is go ahead and put that plastic, the plastic back on top of it that it came with. So this one came with 2 pieces of plastic. I will put that back on, no problem. And that will be that. So there you have it. That's how I end up making my double-sided adhesive canvases into poured glue canvases so that I can work on them without having to worry about the finickiness of the double-sided adhesive, if that makes sense. So that is all I have. And oh, really fast, I should identify, this says that this is a 65 by 65 centimeter. I am assuming, I'm betting just because of the kind of company that it is, that it means 65 from edge to edge, not 65 actually of the drill field. And so that's kind of something to keep in mind with the amount of glue you might need when you work on, if you decide to do this to one of your canvases. Let me see. I might have, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I'm stuck here. Let me get this put away. I do. I have a measuring tape here. So from edge to edge, yeah, that's not even 60. So it's 65 from the edge of the canvas to the edge of the canvas. So this is more like a 59 by 59. Is that right? Yeah. So it's more like a 59 by 59. And I didn't even use half of one of these. So I think if you have, I mean, the Diamond Art Club one is to here. So I think if you had a decent size canvas, this would still work for that. And, if you had a really, really big one, you may need 2 different glues to make sure that you have full coverage, especially if you're going to do more than 2 layers. But it should be sufficient to be able to do just one of these bottles for a, basically a 60 by 60 canvas easy. I just stuck my fingers in it. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. I am looking forward to having this be dry so that I can start working on it. It is winter themed, and since it is still winter here in the United States, I want to make sure I'm working on it while I still can and get this one up and out of my stash. Future me just kind of hopping in really fast. It's only been a few hours, but I wanted to show you guys, this looks like it is basically dry. Now, I think that there's still a little bit of streaking on the Aileen side, so it's possible that side is not dried, and I have not waited the full amount of time that it recommends to dry, but I wanted to show you guys the difference in the stick. So there is definitely more stick on the Diamond Art Club side. But again, that could be because the side has not fully cured. I'm not sure. It does have a good, decent stick to it though. So I just wanted to come on and say, like, if I was going to hang this on my wall, I would probably really push for the Diamond Art Club side, but I think either one of them are good. I do like that this was just a couple hours sitting and this appears to be cured already for the Diamond Art Club side. Anyway, back to past me. All right, really quick update, and I'm in a different area, but basically this side with Aileen's Tack-It over and over is actually driving me crazy. It is definitely not strong enough or tacky enough to be able to keep the plastic on here, and I keep losing the plastic, and I'm worried that I'm going to ruin the image, and it's just making it not so fun. So I just wanted to come on really fast. I'm going to try out this little plastic piece that came with the Diamond Art Club diamond painting adhesive and see how that works on this. But I went ahead and put some down and wanted to kind of show you spreading this out with that tool versus what I did with the sponge in the other portions of the video. I did not reapply the adhesive around the edges of this because I'm not doing very many layers, and honestly at this point I'm just trying to get this image done, and it's not something that I'm like, it's not my favorite image. It's not anything I plan on hanging on my walls or anything, but I will say this is not, if this was a smaller area that I was trying to cover with this, I would say it was okay, but this is not successful. So for me, I definitely recommend utilizing the sponge. This just doesn't cover a very big area. But like I said, if you were just doing something small and you just needed a little bit of extra adhesive, this would probably work. Anyway, I hope that helps. I don't think I'll do any other updates. I'll probably just do a post review on this image to, you know, kind of update that, but otherwise that's it. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for letting me jump in and just kind of give this little update. I'll see you next time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Please, like I said, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. I will see you in my next video. Remember, wherever you go to take care of yourself is a Sparkle Sanctuary. So please make sure you're taking time to take care of you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.